What is up, guys? Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh here, and today I want to share with you the deck that would have won the Richmond, Virginia Regional and the Pittsburgh Regional had they not been canceled. But this is what I would have played this weekend at those regionals. I was going to play Orcust, as you can see, and the reason I was going to play Orcust was because I really wanted to play more of a mid-rangey deck. Since the format was going to be very undefined, it's very hard to kind of predict formats after set releases, especially one like this where so many good cards were coming out. And you never know what combos are out there, how people are going to react. And so I wanted to play a mid-range deck so that I could very well play either beatdown or control depending on the matchup, or I could be able to transition in between those roles if needed. And so I felt that that was very important right now. But I also wanted to play a deck that had a really strong draw engine, or the ability to at least support one, so that I could draw into some of those new powerful cards as well as cards to stop them. And then finally, I wanted to play Orcust because it's just very fun and familiar for me. If you guys have been following this channel for a while, you guys have known that I've been a big fan of Orcust since they came out. And so this is a deck that I feel very comfortable with, which again, I think is important in an undefined format, because if you just try to play a deck you're not comfortable with, you're more prone to make mistakes. And I felt with this, I could play very well and near perfectly, which is going to aid me, I think, throughout the weekend. And so let's go ahead and get into the profile. And now, before getting started, if you would like to support the channel, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification so that you will be notified when I upload in the future. That really helps this channel a lot. It doesn't cost you anything, and I definitely really appreciate it. And so please go ahead and do that before getting into the video. But also, before getting started, I do want to warn you guys, I have a couple of proxies. There were cards that I was going to pick up at the event, especially the cards from Duel Overload, because I didn't trust, buying them online beforehand and then having them shipped before the event. I didn't think that was too trustworthy. Something could happen with the shipping and I could just get, destroyed. So I just planned to pick cards up at the event. So because those events were canceled, I just don't have those cards right now. But I wasn't gonna, let that stop me from sharing the spice with you guys. So again, like this video, subscribe to the channel. There are proxies, but let's go ahead and get into it. And so starting with the monsters. Oh, this is a thick deck, by the way. This is 45 cards, but I feel fine playing that number. It doesn't reduce, their probabilities of getting certain cards by that much. And I felt that it also gives me the space needed to include everything I want to play. But again, getting into the monsters, we have 3 Scrap Recyclers. This is 2 Jet Synchrons. This was actually the second Jet Synchron was a Dark Grepher originally, but I ultimately, between the Jet Synchron and the Dark Grepher, they both discard a card out of your hand to kind of start your plays, but Jet Synchron kind of works better with the Scrap Recycler, so that if you draw Jet Synchron and Scrap Recycler, you're still able to play the Scrap Recycler and then do your full combo. Because if you're choosing between Grepher and Scrap Recycler, Scrap is just better. So I want to play a second one in that case. But then also, I think Scrap Recycler is generally a better starter than Grepher, because it allows you to go into Needle Fiber, or how Keefy bracks now. But it lets you go into that, and that starts your Orcust plays a lot easier than Grepher can. And so that's why I went second Jet Synchron over Grepher. Then we have Armageddon Knight. And so these are pretty much the starter cards in the deck. We have 6 starters. All of these get any of your plays started, and they're all extremely powerful, as you guys probably know. What I will do later in this video, if there's time, is I'm going to show you guys some of the combos with Jet Synchron. One of my favorites is if you have Jet Synchron and then like a Knightmare or a Symbol Skeleton, then what you can do is end on Anaconda and then Winda with Dingirsu attached. And the Dingirsu is going to keep the Winda from destroying itself. And that's really powerful against a lot of decks. So it's a really cool Jet Synchron combo. And obviously Scrap Recycler has insane numbers of combos. If you resolve Scrap Recycler and then get into Scrap Wyvern and do that whole thing, you can do literally anything you want. So yeah, maybe I'll just do a combo video. Let me know if you guys would like to see a combo video for this deck, because there are a ton of combos. Let's get these out the way though. For the extenders, we have Gizmek, 2 Symbol Skeletons, 2 Wands, and 3 Knightmares. And the reason I refer to all of these as extenders is because if you have them with any of your starter cards, they all do pretty insane combos. Like if you have, like really any combination of them. Like this is a combo, that's a combo. Like all of these are combos. For the engine requirements, we have Golem and, well, oops, surprise, Scythe. These are both cards that you don't necessarily want to draw, but are necessary for other cards in the deck. And then these are kind of engine requirements, but not really. They sometimes are, sometimes aren't. And that's 1 Brass Bombard and 1 Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. So this kind of clues you into what's in the extra deck. But both of these can be engine requirements. You don't necessarily want to draw them, but if you do draw them, there are ways to kind of play with them still. Like, both are still dark, both are tuners, so they can help you go into Needle Fiber. And so if you open up a hand of, I guess they don't really work with any of these too well because they're also normal summons in that case, but at least Brass Bombard and like any of the Orcust cards is a pretty good play. And then this is good if you have like a special summon extender, which is kind of difficult in some scenarios, but it does work sometimes. I have had hands where I've had like the Whelp Destruction Sword and like a Gizmek, and then 2 1-ofs, but you could normal summon this, special summon Gizmek, go into Needle Fiber, summon Brass Bombard, and then continue to play from there. Like, that can either summon a Galatea and you can do stuff, or if you have another Orcust in your hand, you can use this and summon that Orcust and really get some plays going. So there are things you can do with just like these. So they're not always into requirements. Then for the rest of the monsters, there are 3 Nibiru, which I think is a staple right now. I think you have to play 3 Nibirus simply because of all of the ridiculous combos out there with Needle Fiber, Union Carrier, whatever. And the stuff decks were even doing before these cards came out. Even a deck like Salamangreats, they really have trouble playing under 5 summons. And so I felt that this is definitely a 3 of this format. And it's also another reason why I wanted to play this deck, is because this deck even has plays that you can do under Nibiru, under 5 summons. Like, under 5 summons you can do Galatea Crescendo, which is strong. Or you can do, there's a play where you can end on Union Carrier, and then with a, you can do Union Carrier, and then you summon a Knightmare, and you equip the Knightmare with the Whelp. And while it doesn't seem like an amazing combo, like, a lot of players, or a lot of decks can't play through just Whelp on a monster with 2000 defense. So none of your normal summons are going to get over this. Not many special summons get over it either. And it's locking your opponent out of the extra deck. And if everything survives, Union Carrier can then attach something else to the Knightmare on your next turn. Like, you can attach like a wand or something, link it away, and then you can pretty much have all these in the graveyard, have your graveyard set up, and then combo off from there. So it doesn't seem amazing, but it's enough under 5 summons, and it gives you a good follow-up play if your board survives. So that's also a pretty cool thing you can do. Again, if you guys want to see a combo video, let me know. And then we also have 3 Phantasmes. I was originally playing 2, but I wanted to bump it up to 3 after testing, just because I realized I just wanted this in every single hand. Like, it's traditionally not, I don't think, a 3 of, because it's once per turn, you don't want to see multiples, but it's just so powerful, and it helps you draw into powerful cards like Nibiru, or just other things you want in your hand, Scrap Recycler. Just very, very good card, as well as protecting you from targeting. So that's it for the monsters. For the spells, we have Field Spell, then we have 2 Returns, 2 Pot of Desires, and 2 Allure of Darknesses. Again, I really wanted to play a deck that could support a draw engine so that you can draw into the cards we need. I think cards like Desires are especially important right now because you need that extra card advantage. And this also helps that we are playing over 40 cards as well, because it reduces the odds of banishing the cards that we absolutely need, which aren't really anything. Like, this deck doesn't have cards that you absolutely need in the deck. Like, you can banish the Field Spell, you can banish Crescendo, that's fine. You can banish really anything and you can still play. Like, if you banish Destruction Sword, you just use Anaconda to summon Winda instead. Or if you banish Scythe, hurts if you have Sanctum. That's maybe the only card that hurts. If you banish Golem, you can still use Scrap Recycler to send other cards and then do other plays. Like, it's okay. Like, there are no 1-ofs or anything that you have to worry about banishing. The only thing that maybe sucks is if you banish like both of your symbols or all 3 of your Knightmares, or like absurd, very unlikely things to happen, but normally it's very okay. Next we have 3 Called by the Graves, which is a very important card in this deck because you need all of your effects to go through, because a lot of the combos can be quite fragile, but also it's so versatile and can be used as a defensive card as well. And so you can just set this and it's going to be able to disrupt a lot of decks. I mean, you're going to be able to stop spiral combos, you're going to stop Salamangreat stuff, you can stop... I mean, there's just so many things that you stop with this card that it's insane. Next we have 2 Cosmic Cyclones. I think this is good against back row decks, but also against Destruction Sword. So I'm sure a lot of other decks are going to be using Union Carrier to also equip Destruction Sword. Like any dark deck, any dragon deck is going to be able to do that. And this is one of the few main deck outs to it. And so, really like Cosmic Cyclone. It's going to out that, and it's going to out back row. Then we have 2 Instant Fusions. Instant Fusion's also very important because it's going to help you extend through stuff. So if, let's say, they stop your Scrap Recycler, you can Instant Fusion and then use that to go into Wyvern and then continue your plays. It also helps you play under Nibiru. Like if you can go into Galatea, like summon 2 monsters, that's 2 summons, 3 Galatea, 4 is Instant Fusion, and now they can't Nibiru you, and then 5 Dingirsu on top of the Galatea, and then you are protecting your Winda for the next turn. So again, it helps you play under Nibiru. And then, let's see, after that, let's get these out the way. I have some one-ofs. There's Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, and then World Legacy Succession, which is another Monster Reborn. World Legacy Succession, I wish I had the card. I was going to borrow it from somebody, but World Legacy Succession is very strong because it's another thing that helps you extend through disruption, especially if you're starting with an Armageddon Knight or a Scrap Recycler. So if, let's say, one of the effects are stopped, or an effect is stopped somewhere through a combo, you can Monster Reborn it back and then use the effect again because neither are once per turn. Or something that I like to do at times if I'm worried about hand traps is, let's say you open Jet Synchron Scrap Recycler. You can start your play as if you're just doing a Jet Synchron play. So you go Jet Synchron, Link Haribo, then summon Jet Synchron back by discarding the Scrap Recycler. You go into Needle Fiber, and now is your opponent going to Ash to Needle Fiber? What are they going to do? Well, it doesn't matter, because if they don't Ash it, you win because you have a combo. If they do Ash it, you can World Legacy Succession back the Scrap Recycler that you discarded off of it, and then use this effect to dump something and then continue comboing. And that's a little bit safer than if you were to just start with Scrap Recycler and then like do a Scrap Recycler play. Because if they were to stop the Scrap Recycler and then you have the Succession, or Monster Reborn, same thing. If they were to stop the Scrap Recycler here, you would have nothing to Reborn back except for, well, if it's Reborn, you could Reborn the hand trap if it's not in permanence. But with Succession, you need a monster in your own graveyard. So, yeah. Succession's very good. And we play that because we play Lib the Keymaster in the extra deck. And then finally, to finish off the main deck for the traps, 3 Sanctums, 1 Crescendo. I really love the Artifact Engine. I think that it's just one of the best cards you can play this format. It's one of the very few skip your turns, like skip your opponent's turn. Plus, it's another monster. And I thought that was also something very important in this deck, was that we have a lot of cards that give us a monster. And that can kind of be, in a sense, an extender. So let's say we go first and we don't have much of a play, but we're able to stop our opponent with a Sanctum. Then we can normal summon a Scrap Recycler. Even if they stop Scrap Recycler, we have another monster that we can link into Wyvern with. And so there are a lot of plays like that, or when you have Armageddon Knight, or just summoning a Symbol Skeletons or something with any other monster that you may have had on board from something else, like Phantasme or Nibiru or something like that. The Nibiru then can kind of be an extender. And so I really like that we have these powerful cards that also give us monsters as well, to kind of simplify our plays if we need to. So let's go ahead and move into the extra deck. For the extra deck, we have 2 Dings, 2 Galateas, 1 Dingirsu. I think this is a pretty standard Orcust lineup. I've seen some builds play 3 Galatea, but I just didn't have the space. I mean, the extra deck is so tight. Like, I added 4 cards from Duel Overload, which is absurd. It was very hard to choose what to play, what not to play. But I felt that this was like the bare minimum Orcust lineup. And even Dingirsu was a bit of a stretch. Like, this almost got cut, but I think it's just necessary. Next we have Appaloosa. Very good in some of the Orcust plays. I mean, the scrap plays. Like, there's one board you can make where you have Appaloosa, Union Carrier Dingirsu with a Destruction Sword, and then Dingirsu and a Crescendo, which is absurd. That's probably the best board you can make in this deck, but Appaloosa is necessary for it. There are other plays where you can summon it in under 5 summons if you have the right extenders. It's very rare, but you can do it, and I felt that this was just such a good card in this deck that it was necessary. Then we have Scrap Wyvern, again very key for the plays. Linkuriboh, Boral Sword, and Knightmare Unicorn. And then for the Duel Overload cards, these are all proxies, but I'll just flip them over. But it was 1 Needle Fiber Halkifibrax, 1 Anaconda, 1 Lib the Keymaster, and then Union Carrier. So all of these are very important. Needle Fiber is just insane card, very easy to summon with either Scrap Recycler or with Jet Synchron, and it can facilitate a lot of your Orcust plays because you can summon the Brass Bombard. Brass Bombard gets the other stuff out of your hand. It's just insanely powerful if you get it off, and it helps enable a lot of plays that weren't possible before. So that's a thing. It's so weird using proxies. I'm sorry, guys. But then we had Union Carrier. Union Carrier, again, has very good synergy with this deck because it lets you get out Destruction Sword for 1, which is insanely powerful, but the synergy comes in to where you can also equip your Orcust cards, and then when you link away that monster that it equips to, it gets those cards in the graveyard, so it's kind of like an extra deck monster, extra deck Foolish Burial, like Lavavo Chain type of thing. So it can be really good in that regard. But yeah, also Destruction Sword is just insanely good. Anaconda facilitates you being able to summon Winda, which is also a way to lock your opponent out of the extra deck, which is obviously powerful. And then Lib the Keymaster is low-key MVP, especially when going second, because it's going to get you World Legacy Succession, an extender, and when it leaves the field, it clears a card on their side of the board as well, so it's a breaker, an extender, extra link material, just an insane card. And then, last but not least, we have a Winda. Man, it's so weird with all those proxies. For the side deck, I was going to play 1 Trap Trick for the for going first. It just helps me get the Sanctums more consistently. Imperial Order. 1 Red Reboot. Don't know why this is why the traps are first here, but just switch the order a little bit. Three Evenlies, 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, and then 2 Drolls. And so the thinking behind this extra side deck is that the main deck is already so good going first that there's very few cards for going first. The only things that I would generally side in would be the Trap Trick, and then sometimes the Imperial Order depending on the matchup, but mostly just the Trap Trick actually. So not much for going first, but when going second, that's kind of the hard part because you don't know what you're going to be going second against, and you don't know what kind of deck it would be. And so I felt I needed cards that could deal with back row, like back row decks, but also Destruction Sword. And so I felt that these were very good for that, as well as evenly. But if you're playing against something that's making more of a monster heavy board, then I felt that Dark Ruler No More and evenly are very strong. Especially Dark Ruler No More and Red Reboot, I think, are very unique in that they stop your opponent from being able to respond. And so with that, you can go into your scrap plays, and it's just insane. Like, you would use Scrap Wyvern to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. You would use Lib to destroy another card. You can use Unicorn to spin a third card. and then still be link climbing this whole time and end up with like 8 or 9 worth of link materials. And I think that's just insane. Your opponent has like a board, you stop them from doing anything, you just clear the whole thing and kill them. Happens all the time, which is insane with either of these cards depending on the matchup. And then Droll I felt was kind of tricky. I don't know if Spiral was still going to be as popular, but I didn't want to go into the event with really nothing to stop them from comboing off. So I felt that Droll was one of the few really good options there. I was also considering maybe DD Crow or Ash because they're both more versatile, but I felt that this was kind of more powerful than all of them. So that's pretty much what I was going to play. This video is a lot longer than I expected, so I'm not sure if there's going to be time for a combo or not, but if you guys would like to see some combos, just let me know because I can definitely do that as well. But that's pretty much the deck. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section below. If you have any suggestions, also feel free to let me know, open to any sort of suggestions. How you think this deck should change for Master Rule 5 now that that's coming up in like 10 days from the time of this recording. It's very interesting the format that I was going to play this in, where it's post-Duel Overload but pre-Master Rule 5. I was going to play this for 2 regionals and then the YCS in Charlotte. And then, yeah, that was going to be really unique. I'm kind of sad that there's no opportunity to play in that format anymore. But from here on, time to just move on to Master Rule 5, where this deck, I think, gets even better. Because now you don't have to set up Winda as hard as you would before, and you're able to have a little more flexibility with Dingirsu as well. Because now when you when you Xyz summon Dingirsu, it can free up a zone under your other link monsters. Whereas before, sometimes it would clog it up, or you'd have to, like, it was weird sometimes, but now you can use that kind of strategically. So we'll see how that works out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.